Hello and welcome back to episode 141 of Talkoffamepod podcast with your host, Kylie Montaigne. For today's episode, we have Madeline Rosene. She's a singer-songwriter, and thanks so much for joining, Madeline. I'm super excited to talk with you today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. So you recently just came out with a new album called Everyday Existential Crisis. I think that's how you say it.
Existential, yeah.
How does it kind of like the title kind of show about the item? Like the album. I don't
So
know
an
why I said item.
existential crisis, like most of us have had them, we feel like we're on one track and we're doing the right thing with our lives. And maybe we wake up one day and we realize, no, this is not what I want to do at all. And I think the inspiration from this album's title is really just about not ever really feeling like you're on the right path, and maybe waking up every single day and feeling like you want to make a change, or you don't know if what you're doing is right. And my song Everyday Existential Crisis, which is the title track of the album, is really about how these kind of crises affect the people around us, right? How does our indecision and our wavering make the people in our lives feel? And that kind of guilt of feeling like you don't know who you are. And when you don't know who you are, you lie to yourself, and then you wind up lying to the people around you. And that's what a lot of the inspiration for these songs comes from.
That's so cool because like everyone kind of suffers with kind of personal events, whether it's kind of working or just things are kind of happening in our personal lives. Like I every single day, sometimes I am stressed or working about things, but you sometimes don't want to talk about it because it might make you feel kind of, I don't know what the word is, but it will make it kind of seem like you need help from everybody, you know?
Vulnerable. It makes you
Right.
vulnerable.
Yeah, exactly.
And don't always want to be vulnerable, right? Because we don't want to put those burdens on other people. But hey, that's where songwriting comes in, and you can get your therapy that way.
Yeah, for sure. Like songwriting is like mostly everyone's therapy, whether it's like writing songs or just listening to songs by different artists. It's like
Oh,
definitely therapy. Like listening to music for me is my therapy.
amen.
Like was like the album kind of inspired by kind of like things you kind of dealt with, or was it kind of like imagination that other people felt with?
I really wish my imagination was that vivid. It's not. And I'm so impressed by artists who can just sit there and create a song, and maybe it's about somebody else's life, or, maybe it's just something they made up in their head, like that just didn't happen at all. But all of my songs, they are rooted somewhere in my life, like a diary, kind of. Like Sugar, for instance, is about a real relationship that I had. Um, Out of My Mouth is almost like a kind of autobiographical little sketch. Good Behavior, I mean, it's just a sexy song, but like sometimes I feel sexy, right? I mean, so like every song on that album comes from some place in me that I've experienced or externally experienced. I mean, Sugar, like there's direct quotes from somebody. So I like to keep it, I like to keep it real. Sorry, that was really annoying. But it is very real to me. And that's one of the reasons why songwriting is important to me, because I feel like I'm kind of documenting part of my life.
For sure. Like it's like you said, like you have like direct quotes of somebody. Was it like an artist, like yourself, or like your friends?
No, like a relationship I was in, the person's
Oh,
like the beginning line of the song is grow up. He said, this is not high school. And that's, something somebody said to me. And I like to put direct quotes into my music sometimes because it immediately brings me back to that time. And also I have a journalism degree, and it kind of makes the song, it makes it just really be a real part of my life.
Like where did you get like your journalism degree from? Because I'm planning on doing journalism or communications in college, so I'm kind of curious on that.
Yeah, I went to Hampshire College in Western Massachusetts. It's in Amherst, so it's next to Amherst College, Mount Holyoke, Smith. It's part of a 5-college consortium, so you can take classes at any of those 5 colleges if you go to one of them, which is very cool. So yeah, I got my degree in journalism, and actually medical science journalism. And I actually studied, I was pre-med for about 2.5 years, and then I decided I really wanted to write. So that's what I did.
Ooh. And so like what is like your kind of favorite like song and album that was kind of memorable, or is it kind of like you just kind of liked from the beginning?
What, wait, my favorite song on the album?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hard.
I know it's hard. It's like choosing like your favorite child, your favorite baby.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
I know it's hard.
Um, hmm. I think I really love um I think I really love Burn right now. Burn is like, I don't know, I didn't write the guitar chords, which is not usual. Like usually I'll write the guitar chords and the melody and the lyrics, but my friend Alex Windsor wrote those guitar chords and they're so great and I love it. And she came to me with them and it's so retro, this song. It's got like almost like a 1950s feel in a way. And I love it. I love the harmonies. Her husband, Patrick Windsor, produced it and he did the harmonies with me. And I think they're just really wild and he did such a great job. And the song is about revenge, but it's like, I don't know, it's not like evil revenge. It's just somebody who did you wrong and you living your best life to feel better, right?
Mm.
And just it's kind of like taking a step back and looking at that. Um, and I don't know, it makes me feel good. It's a feel good song to me.
Mm. Like is Patrick Windsor like a like is he like a producer or something? Because I feel like I heard of his like name. I just feel like the name sounds familiar.
Well, yeah, well, he produced several of the songs on the album, and he also has a band. And then his wife Alex is in the band with him. And I mean, they're just an amazing musical couple. I mean, she's a guitarist in the band Bad Cop right now, so she's on tour with them, and she's played a lot with Shira Girl from Warped Tour and Gritty and Pink. So yeah, they're all over the place. They're amazing.
Mm. That's so cool. Like I could imagine. Like I know some musical couples, and like they just seem like they can do it all. Like they really
Yes,
do that.
it's so amazing. Actually, I wrote Heart on Fire, the song on my album with my now husband. But when we wrote that song, we were just dating, like very early on dating. And he wrote the piano chords and I wrote the melody and the lyrics for Heart on Fire. So that's probably my favorite song on the album, just because it's got such an amazing story and it's so different.
Mm. And this so like, just before the pandemic, you have released your debut album, Raised on Porn, that deals with fighting for honestness, navigating relationships in Los Angeles. I was a millennial. I'm so bad at pronouncing names. But like knowing that this generation was the first to be raised with surgical razor, cosmetic surgery, early Photoshop images, sugar dating, internet pornography, social media, and dating apps. Like, did you kind of experience this in like your life of dating or social media or just live in Los Angeles? You live in Los Angeles, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I was living in Los Angeles when the pandemic started. I moved to Cleveland in during the pandemic. But yeah, I was in LA for like 6 years. But yeah, so have you ever heard the song Californication by the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that to me. It's like, we're just our culture is just so fake so much of the time. Like we've got
Mm.
reality TV, we've got the Kardashians, we've just got butt models on Instagram, and we have all this like, filtered nonsense, and none of it is real. And what does that do to our relationships? It's like how can we really be real with each other and say what we feel and look ugly and be okay with it, And how are we going to relate to each other on a human level when everything is about just being robotic, you know?
Mm.
And I think that's what drove a lot of the messaging in this album because I was having a hard time relating to people in Los Angeles because I think it's very pronounced there.
Mm.
And I try to be myself as much as possible. And I think like the sort of superficial relationships I was having there at the beginning were driving me crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's where most of it comes from. I hope that answers that. It's a little abstract, but yeah, that's kind of how it all came together.
Like that's actually like so true. Like with this generation, like everyone seems like so fake at the same time. Not just social media, but like our friends. Like I have
Yeah.
experienced like fakeness, like using so many things. Like that's like I feel like back then, like in our parents' generation, that like really kind of wasn't a thing, I think.
I know. And, I wonder if we say that, but we don't know. But
Yeah.
I can't imagine it would be this bad. Our
Yeah.
parents didn't have the same things that we deal with.
Hmm.
I mean, you deal with it even more as a Gen Zer. I mean, I can't even imagine. And I'm right on the cusp. Yeah.
Yeah, especially with having a phone. Like that's kind of how like you like deal with it more with social media and having your own phone. That's kind of how like that's kind of like how it makes it worse with cell phones. Like you get to connect with strangers and people you know and talk so much bad about people and you see
Oh, and
pictures
people
and
people
it's
just hide. They hide behind the phone like a mask.
yeah.
They have their phone. They feel like they can be anyone they want.
Mm. Yeah, that's so true because like when people think like oh they're bullying on social media someone's post like they like some people might know who they are but some people might like might have like strange usernames but then there's people that sit behind the screens commenting on like on them on their social media posts just to make themselves feel better.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really terrible.
Like, do you think like social media has kind of impacted like your dating relationships or just dating in general?
Yeah, I think it had. And I think, using like dating apps and things like that, I mean, I think it makes it really hard to connect with people on a deep level because people people think they can plug something in like it algorithmically, like I want someone with these qualities, right?
Mhm.
And then they think that the person's just going to magically appear and they're not going to be a human with flaws and all these different problems.
Yeah,
And I think that's also just from being in a culture that's very like, I want this right now at my door, Amazon, you know?
yeah.
And I mean, I think that's the same with dating. We expect kind of perfection. We expect now, and we expect to not have to go through problems together and navigate things and not have a real relationship.
Yeah, that like I couldn't agree more on that because like with social media, like it can really seem like every relationship is perfect. It can seem like, oh, my relationship's so good, like no one's gonna have my relationship, like no one's gonna have my relationship ever. Like, but then like with social media, like not every relationship is perfect. Not every
Yeah.
life is perfect. Like some people like if we're looking for someone, they might think like, oh a guy this with these qualities are gonna show up at my doorstep, but that doesn't work like that. Like that's not how dating works. And I'm currently reading The Light We Carry by Michelle Obama. And like as I'm like reading it, like she talks about in the book about her and Barack Obama's relationship, how much it changed and how much it kind of stuck together over the years. And that's kind of like maybe opened my eyes because like every relationship is not perfect. Like even
Right.
though you guys have your struggles, of course, but then like you see like you guys work it out in the end. Like not every relationship is perfect, not through like social media, but also like behind closed doors. That every relationship is
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a book I always recommend to everybody about this topic called The Art of Loving. It's really old. I mean, there's some really like dated and kind of offensive things in there too. So it's a very old book. So you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. But the main idea in it is that, there's no really such thing as like true love or like love at first sight or all of these things. That's really lust. But the art of loving is really like we have to grow and change together and face problems together and not be afraid. And that's what real love is. It's like really just growing with someone and learning to love them for the new flaws that they have or the new person that they keep becoming.
yeah, that's like what you just said because like obviously every relationship is not true love at first sight. Like it's all kind of like your brain thinking like, oh my God, I'm in love already and I just met them. Like that's
Right.
actually like true love. It's like that's really not possible. Like I
Right.
just I feel like it's not possible. But of course, love at first sight is possible, but then like when you first meet them, it's kind of not.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, because love should be constantly be changing, right?
Mhm.
It's like a force, it's like a being. And I also agree about people posting about their relationships on social media. It's like it makes it so people feel like they have something to live up to, like they have to find that same vision, for themselves. And I personally I never post about my relationship on social media, like maybe once a year if there's like a milestone or something. But like, I just always think my relationship is so personal to me and my partner. And it's like, it doesn't really have to do with anybody else, really, like, unless we're hanging out with them or, so I never have felt the need to share that, because I always felt like I want to experience it, for what it is myself, and just cherish those moments, inwardly. And I've just never really seen the post, like the reason to broadcast my relationships, really.
Yeah, like that's kind of how some people are, because like I know that a lot of people don't often like to post like pictures of the couple or to like you and their boyfriend, because like, or whatever you guys may be, like husband or wife or whatever. But like you might not often post like pictures on social media due to being hate or people being jealous, or just sometimes they just want to experience these milestones or moments privately, not just sharing everything on social media.
Yeah. And I think the reason people will do it maybe is because it's a reflection of themselves, and they want to share this part of themselves with people because, they feel like their relationship is part of themselves. And I get that. But I also feel like I don't get it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like some people like don't get it, of course. Like for me,
Yeah.
I'm single as a personal. Like I really don't care about like dating. Like that's how people are. Because like obviously when people don't like want a boyfriend, like it's not to you do not want to rush into things when you're passionate about your work. Like I'd rather focus on my work and school and personal things that matter to me, personal relationships, than have a boyfriend that takes up all my time.
Right. Yeah.
And like you have performed at venues such as Hotel Calf, Los Globos, the Viper Room, and Molly's Maroons in Los Angeles, and Arlene's Grocery in New York City. Like, do you have like a favorite memorable venue you played at?
Oh yeah. I mean, gosh, I love playing at Hotel Cafe. I just think it's such a cute venue. And I remember when I first moved to Los Angeles, I had kind of given up music. And I was like, I would just love to play there, even though I'd like, kind of sworn it off. But the venue inspired me so much because I was like, this is the perfect place for my music to live,
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, I wound up playing there like many times, and it feels good. Everybody really listens there, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. It's got to be like a venue for like singer-songwriters. I also really love Molly Malone's. I just played there in February. The sound guy there is a genius, and he always makes everybody sound really great, and you can always hear everything perfectly. So I love that venue. My sound guy makes everything,
Mm-hmm. Sound guy is really the key to every show, like
Yep. Absolutely.
Like how long does it usually kind of take to like write your music, like each like song or album? I know it's like different for every song or for different artists. I know it's different.
Oh, like on average though for songs, like how
Yeah.
long does it take to write one? Yeah, that is funny. I mean, I guess sometimes I'll write a whole song in a day, or sometimes the song will take a couple weeks. It kind of depends like how much it's pouring out of me at that time, right? And then there's the production, which can take a really long time, like months. So
Mhm.
yeah, I guess it kind of runs the gamut. But I mean, I do spend a lot of time in production and figuring out what songs or what sounds go with a song. And sometimes we have to start from scratch, after we've done the whole thing. And I'm just like, it's not right. Um, yeah. So I mean, it took me 2 years to make the first album, and it took me about 2 years to make the second album ultimately too. So it takes me a long time. I'm slow.
Like I'm the same way. Like whenever it's like doing like work or something, like it takes me forever to do things. Whenever I have to do them, like whenever I'm like, oh, I have to do these things, so I should get these done today. But then it doesn't. I'll do it a couple of days later. Like it takes forever to do things.
Yeah, it does. I mean, the creative process is tough, because you're not just doing it alone either. You're relying on other people and their schedules, and when it comes to art, sometimes you're just like, it needs to be perfect, but it's
Mm-hmm.
never going to be perfect. So yeah.
True, that's so true. But like the final thing I have for you is like, what is some advice or singer-songwriters that kind of want to be a singer-songwriter or just kind of starting but don't know how to get out there or kind of gain an audience, just say.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I would definitely say, like, I know a lot of people who have wanted to be singer-songwriters, and they write good music and everything, and but a lot of times they're like, I don't know where to start. And it's like, well, you kind of just have to throw yourself in there, start performing, start recording. They're like, oh, I don't have enough money to spend on recording. Well, I mean, that's tough. The money thing is tough. That's the worst part about all of this, right? I mean, you got to be creative with figuring out where to record. Can you record at your house? Can you make some lo-fi stuff that's not perfect, because that's the key. It's like so many artists are just striving for perfection all the time, and I'm guilty of it too. But there's never going to be a perfect way to market yourself. There's never going to be a perfect way to record an album. There's never going to be a perfect show. It's just never going to happen. So the best thing to do, I think, is just throw yourself in there and start doing a lot of DIY stuff. Learn about digital marketing. Learn about digital marketing. I cannot say that enough times. And and meet people, and talk to them and ask them what their path has been, and ask them how you can collaborate, because collaborations are everything. I think when you find people who are, on a similar path to you where you can help each other, that's the best thing to find. When you get along and you can help each other on your journeys, find that.
Like
easier said than done.
Yeah, I like what you said like earlier about like money. Like money is like such a huge kind of thing about this business, because like when you want to make content with somebody, or you want to travel, or you want to go to concerts or something, like money is such kind of like a big impact on it, like things you want to do. Like even if like you work hard or you have a job, you work like 40 hours a week, like that's a huge thing, because like you work so hard but don't have the money to do things you want to do besides doing work. Like you want to take time for yourself. Like that's something I learned, is that like money is not everything. Like money is not everything to your success. Like your success is you working hard every single day, not just sitting around doing nothing besides like watching TV, I feel.
Yeah, and I would say, like, just don't get caught up in the hype. Like, you don't need like really nice sneakers. Like, you got to figure out what is important to you right now. Like, is building your dream and like making art important to you and investing in that, or is it getting those sneakers right now? It's like, if you can't give up those nice things to work on your art, like, how passionate about your art are you? You know what I mean? And I mean, look, I'm saying this stuff, but like, hey, I'm guilty of all of this, and I'm able to say these things because I know them now.
Yeah.
And I wish for a long time that I hadn't given up on things, or taken time off, or bought the bag when I should have bought the recording time, and just make these choices that we're faced with all the time as artists. Like, you got to prioritize your art. You always do. That's just the thing.
Yeah, that's really so true, because like when people try to spend money on things they kind of don't need, like it's just like you would rather spend things that like for your work, or buy subscriptions, or like buy recording sessions, like those are more important than building your success. Like in terms of working, like with a songwriter, like with being a songwriter, like every session you do is being like you have to pay for it. Like not everything is free, not everything is cheap, like not everything is easy to do.
No. Yeah, most of it's hard and expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand that totally. Everything seems so expensive, especially when you're looking for a manager or like people to represent you. It's so expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't always set up this way either, the music industry. Like, managers used to take like a percent of your income, right? And a manager would work really, really hard to promote you and things. But now it's like they're like, well, to even take a chance on you, I need to be paid. So I mean, the music industry used to be based on like, hey, I'm going to just roll the dice on this person because I think they're talented. Now it's like, okay, they have this many streams, the algorithm's saying this about them, there's a good chance that they're going to do well, so I'm going to take the chance. There's
Yeah,
just so much
basically
more
take some of your money out of it.
yeah, I mean, there's so much more statistics available to make an informed decision about who you should work with. So anybody who's not using digital marketing to their advantage and getting those Spotify numbers up, I mean, they're going to get looked over, unfortunately.
For
Yeah.
sure. It was really, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it. You're amazing, and I really appreciate you taking your time, like taking time and coming on. I appreciate it so much.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. And I love what you're doing and keep doing it. It's very inspiring. Thanks for having me, Kylie.
Of course, thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.